What's up, Dub Nation? Decided to go live today, and we are going to wait for Dean. But I wanted to just cover some stuff because got some good energy from the win last night, number one, and it's always good to have Dean. I have confirmed that he will join us. Always good to have him because he's the one guy I know that will always bring positivity and always in a state of learning, always in an erudite manner, as I like to say. So, anyways, what we're here for is to go through all of that stuff. And actually, so we're waiting on. Hey, Daniel, we're waiting on Dean, and I'm going to turn this into a podcast. Hopefully. So this whole front part will kind of be chopped off anyway. So live streams are interesting because we get together and we answer questions live, and so it's a little bit different. And I know that last time I got criticized for every time I do anything, I get criticized for it. It's just like so many unhappy people out there. So I hope that all 90 to 100 of you right now are in a good mood, ready to learn something, because that's the whole point of this, is to go through each and every possible scenario and just kind of talk it out. So I'm going to don't tell Anthony Slater or Tim Kawakami, I'm going to log into The Athletic in the background right now. And there's the latest and greatest actually from Anthony Slater, and I'll share with you the article. They probably wouldn't like me doing this. Not like we're gonna read the entire article for you. But I have to find it first. Let's see. Maybe I should just click on Anthony Slater to get his articles. Nope. I can't find it there. Sorry. We got to wait for Dean anyways. It's taking him so long. Sheesh. Where are the articles? Go to an Anthony Slater article. You'll see this shortly. I don't want to accidentally log in and give you my password and all that stuff. Shout out to I only know him as Turbo. Shout out to Turbo for getting us the subscription in the first place. This was eons ago, and it's just his way of contributing to Dub Nation. So yeah, there's an article called Warriors Trade Talk. Oh, there's Dean. Let me throw up. Actually, let's get Dean on here first, and then we'll throw up Dean Chambers, Dean
How's it going, Rich?
How's it going? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
And I just shared the screen behind us, but let me. Whoop, no, I didn't. So this is one of the many articles. No, actually, there aren't that many articles, but this is one of them that probably is the most important one because it's from Anthony Slater. I won't just go through that like that, but we will go through all of these. We're starting to see people in the comments. Oops. Please get Crowder or Serge. Well, we're going to dissect that, and we're probably going to debunk a lot of myths out there, and we're going to exude the Let's Go Warriors way, which is, in case you forgot, root for your team.
Yeah.
Root for your
Togetherness.
team. Jae Crowder would be perfect. Yeah, sure. If we'll get into that. If Jae Crowder would be perfect, if he thought it was perfect, and we're going to debunk that one. We can just go after that one immediately almost. Jae Crowder doesn't want to play here. He wants to play for a contender where he can start. He's said that to the public. But anyway, sure, go ahead and treat it like a video game, as if they're not human beings and don't have their own feelings and don't have their own preferences. I mean, I would love Jae Crowder to magically appear in a Warriors uniform, but that's probably not happening. So we're going to go through each one of these. Everybody, please hit the like button. So let me take a step back. Actually, don't worry. If you guys commented, I promise you, Dean and I promise you, we will get to your comment. You just have to be patient. But I got to do all of the housekeeping because we want to turn this into a podcast. And as I said earlier at the opening, it will probably require us to go and take the audio and put it on Spotify and iTunes. We have all of that ability to do that. So for the audience that doesn't know who we are and just happened to stop by, appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope you're going to get a good taste of what this channel is all about. My name is Rich. I've been credentialed with the Warriors, part of the media, since really 2009. I used to be with Golden State of Mind. Then I started Let's Go Warriors. And back then, we didn't have a YouTube channel in 2012. So 2012, access to Oracle's locker room. We had my first interview ever was, you can look it up. Sorry. Why isn't it showing both of us? There we go. We've got like youtube.com, Let's Go Warriors. So this channel that you're on, if we did Let's Go Warriors, Kent Bazemore, Oracle, that was, I think, my first, no, that's Benjamin Cruz. I know Benjamin. What's up, Benjamin? Hey, it's us. One of these, well, I was in the room with this guy on that day. And I don't know why it's not coming up, but that was my first interview. Here it is. May 10th. Wow. Almost 10 years ago. And I started to just follow the, we're still on the who the hell am I part intro. And I started to videotape everything that I could within reason. There are some rules out there that people don't know about. Like the NBA won't let you film a workout for more than 2 minutes. Is ridiculous. So the one that has the most views on our channel, the one of Steph hitting 93 or 94 out of 100, that one is technically illegal because it's more than 2 minutes. But I said, screw it, man, because during the pandemic there was no content. I said, no, I'm putting back all those videos. And then also, so for 10 years, this channel has been all about workout videos, behind the scenes interviews, all of that. The pandemic changed a lot of things. And then also last year, I realized that I was getting burnt out. So this channel made a pivot. And so ever since last year, we've been doing these live streams where I can dedicate more of my time, my knowledge, and my experience. And as far as my experience, even prior to Golden State of Mind, I was running a basketball league. And out of that basketball, it's just a men's rec league, but we had like 125 teams all across the Bay Area. We would play every Sunday. San Mateo, Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose. And it started out with the Asian American community, which you guys know here in Dub Nation, Filipinos, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, very strong basketball following. And so got to know a lot of people. I ran the whole league. I was scorekeeping games for like 13 hours a day with 1 hour break at lunchtime. And a lot of those guys actually became AAU trainers in this day and age. And we had a couple pros come by. Josh Urbis-Tondo eventually played pro in the Philippines. And so you get to know. And then what I notice is basketball is pretty similar at every level. All the things you go through. I was taking teams out of my league, like all-star teams. I would select these teams and we would go on road trips to tournaments in New York, Los Angeles, whatnot. Then I would have those guys, they would leave my team. So when KD left the Warriors, I was like, I've seen this before. It happened to me. So I apply a lot of this basketball knowledge to what I know now. Plus, I was spending the last 13, 14 years around the Warriors, around the team.
Traveling with them everywhere,
Traveling
right?
with them over the last couple years, traveling more with them. And that's when I realized that traveling really takes a toll on you mentally and physically. And I thought the stuff that Dean and I are doing here is really special, is different. So Dean was just one of the guys in the comments, and we got to know each other better. I happen to be in Southern California, so I stopped by Long Beach where he's at. We met up, and there was a good vibe. And every time Dean came on here, he would teach me something new. So that's what we're here for. We're
Thank
here
you.
to teach everybody, and that's what Dean's here for. And the great thing about Dean is that Dean doesn't have social media, so he's not, poisoned by the negativity on social media, I'd like to say. So, anything you'd like to say, Dean, before we kick this off?
Yeah. So Rich just gave me a shot at being a contributor on here, which is something that's pretty hard to find, in the modern world, and I really appreciate that. And the kind of community. I guess you guys already all know this, but if it's going up as a podcast, what the way I would explain it is that it's a community of people who are actually curious to understand, the way people involved in NBA, people involved with the Warriors are, are speaking about the team or are approaching day-to-day issues rather than a more clickbait or
Being outraged.
hot take kind of
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
We're trying to be as high level and professional as we can be here, and a lot of that has to do with respect too, because you can't be that way while shutting down other people's opinions, like happens on TV a lot, where either they give some weak excuse or start yelling over each other. There has to be a level of that kind of productive, constructive debate, and understanding that if Rich tells me, this idea that you had is just not going to happen, like, that's not him attacking me. That's him stating his opinion, and and I can come back and reply to that, but it's not meant to be, an emotional release of life stresses and I don't know, psychological problems or something that you take from your day-to-day life. And I just really appreciate that, because I think it's not only uncommon with social media like here on YouTube, but it's something that's necessary and beneficial to, forget basketball, just having those kind of interactions with other human beings online, which you think would be obvious, is not. So I'm very happy to be I'm very happy to be here.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Rich.
Sean Bose is on the chat, so it's cool to see him because we got started. He's at GSW Delivery, on Twitter.
Mm.
He doesn't tweet as much as before. Neither do I. But for me, I just got sick of it, sick of Twitter. It's still really bad right now. But anyways, we do want to get to the headline, the title
Yes.
of this podcast slash live stream, which is, let's just go down the list. And I think I see that in the comments. I wanted to go by the most popular talked about on Twitter, which would probably lead with Jakob Poeltl and Alex Caruso, yada, yada, yada. But then you guys in the comments are, and this is the good thing about a live stream, you're probably forcing us a little bit to talk about other things. Like, we can just go down the list as far as the comments are concerned, because that's what this live stream's all about. So the first person that we're going to do it in this order instead. So little tweak of the schedule, a little improvisation during the game, just like Looney's got 3 fouls. Okay, we got a sub right now. So now we can check off Ibaka. Ibaka for JaMychal would be a good trade. So let's go through the steps. The first thing you should do is you go to the salary cap table. I have the saved Golden State Warriors salary cap table, right? So you've got to know our own salaries, because to make a trade in the NBA, the salaries have to match within, I think it's 25%.
They're
pretty close.
on the trade machine. It says they're exactly the same. 10+ year vetman.
Yeah, right. So you go here. We're just kind of taking one step back and making sure that this all makes sense. So JaMychal here is 2.6 million, which is a minimum. It's definitely a veteran's minimum. And then you go to Ibaka's team. And I like Hoops Hype just because you could also go to Spot Track, but Hoops Hype tends to show multiple years out. So now you automatically know right away that that's 3 years plus a player option for Giannis, And then down here at Ibaka, it's also a veteran's minimum. He's got a few more years on JaMychal, which is why his is a little bit more expensive, but is close enough. So the salaries do match. Good job, Rocco. You can trade for that. But now here's the problem. We can role play here, Dean. I'm Bob Myers. I want Ibaka. I go to you. You know that I want Ibaka. You're not going to do JaMychal for Ibaka straight up. Why would you do that, right? You know that I'm the buyer. You're the seller. So the buyer needs to pay up. So what would you ask for?
Well, I'm actually unfortunately not really sure how Ibaka's been playing this year. Do you know?
Oh yeah, we can look at that too. This is what we do as well. I use BKRef just because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
And so everybody, let's look at Serge.
He's played 16 games, about under 12 minutes a game.
But we kind of know what he brings. Kind of know in general what he brings.
Yeah.
Right. And then on this other window, let me pull up JaMychal. Okay, but you go ahead. You role play a little bit.
Okay, well, what is JaMychal going to do different than Serge? Like,
yeah,
we could make this trade, but if we're just doing it for a swap, right. Then what's the point of going through that hassle, changing the locker room?
Yeah, there's that. Well, I will tell you that, Milwaukee and Serge are not on the same page, right? So that's the latest and greatest news from Shams Charania. So the reason why Ibaka's up there on the list is because he tweeted that they mutually agreed to find a new home via trade. So, I mean, I guess it could be 1-for-1. I don't know. I feel like if I'm Milwaukee, I want an extra pick out of this, because I'm going to say that Ibaka I'm Milwaukee, I'm going to say that Ibaka has a higher ceiling than JaMychal. But then you could argue against that. That's not for
And
sure.
here's where, as the Warriors, I think I'd be a little bit more able to speak on this. We're not giving you a first round pick to trade two old vet men guys for a guy who's not playing throughout much of the season, has been injured consistently for a while. So why would we give you a first round pick when we can probably get him off the waiver wire or the buyout guys or whatever if it gets to that?
So then I go, okay, then how about what's reasonable? Ryan Rollins.
Yeah, that would make sense in terms of adding size and, a veteran and everything. But why would the Milwaukee Bucks, who are competing for a championship, want to add Ryan Rollins?
Well, they just want to make use out of and let's go look at their latest box score to see what kind of rotations they got. So their rotations of Milwaukee, Grayson Allen, they go, that far deep. I guess you could throw, if Ibaka wanted to play for them mutually, then he would be somewhere in there. AJ Green is a 6'4" shooting guard, so not that guy.
So he's a rookie. I guess they're playing him a little bit, but
yeah. He'd be playing behind probably Jordan Nwora. I don't know. Then there's also Giannis's brother. I guess Serge has been locked out of that rotation. But I think they could. I think it would be a fair trade, but I just don't know that with JaMychal, you haven't really given him a chance because he hasn't played in all these games due to his COVID and leg infection, and prior to that, pretty good performances. 15 points. His 2-point field goal percentage has been pretty good.
Yeah. He's an excellent screen setter too, I would say, which is important.
He's doing the tiki-taka where he might fake a screen and then get a slam dunk out of it. So I just why are people Rocco? Why did you want to give up on JaMychal for a guy in Ibaka that probably be pretty rusty the moment he shows up? And then how long did it take JaMychal to feel comfortable with the tiki-taka offense? How long is it going to take Ibaka? So we're going to go through all that again, disrupt the chemistry a little bit. I don't know that we have time for that. And that goes back to the other option in all of this is play better.
Yeah.
Instead of trading for a guy, why don't you play better? Whoever it may be, Steph, Draymond, Jordan Poole, JaMychal himself. So I don't know that you get a whole lot more, and we haven't really seen the consistency for JaMychal. I mean, there's great hope that he will continue where he left off, and so I don't know. He looked pretty good last night too, right? 13 points. So I don't know that Ibaka automatically makes that happen. Plus, Milwaukee's got to want to do the deal. But I guess out of all of these, this one to me would make sense if Bob went through with it. It's just that I'm not in a rush to get rid of Jamal. What kind of message would that send as well?
It's also just a little bit of a linear trade for a guy who's not played as much, who's slightly older. And
that's the thing there with Ibaka, slightly older.
I like Ibaka.
He is pretty physical and can get the rebounds.
Yeah, when he's out there.
Let's look at Ibaka one more time. So let's take a look at the comments as well as we're talking about Ibaka. But what's his per 36 on rebounds?
Well, I have JaMychal's per 36 up here too.
Oh, cool. Per 36. He's always had, 10, 9, 8, 8.6 even in just 16 games. Pretty good. What's JaMychal's?
For total rebounds right now, it's 10 per game. His career average is 9.9 per 36.
Wow. His
So it's
career average is
13.7, 9.9 rebounds.
his career average
Averaging
is
36
higher
from
than
3. Sorry, 53 from 2 and 78 from the line. So honestly, he's been playing below his career averages with us so far, and I don't get all his hate. I really don't. JaMychal's, that is. What's the
exactly.
problem?
Exactly.
You know,
He's
he's
an
missing
easy
some
target.
threes. Well,
So that's what I worry about when I see
there's not a lot of
comments like
run.
that. Are we just throwing guys under the bus because they're easy to throw under the bus because they're not named Steph Curry?
It's also just the grass is greener, mentality. Grass
Mhm.
is greener on the other side mentality. When you know they can play the exact same way,
Great concept.
and you see Ibaka once or twice, on uh as a Warriors fan, you go, well, JaMychal's not doing that, but that's because you watched 30 games of him almost, you know? So
Yep.
I don't think the Warriors, I don't see, let me put it to you this way. If we're going to make a move, I think it has to be something that helps this team win the championship right now.
Okay, so that's kind of what is this a good segue into the Anthony Slater article, which down here is the main point. Poeltl or Olynyk. Oh, I forgot to put Olynyk in the title, but anyways, would profile as a useful rotation upgrade. And then he also says the whole point of this would be if JaMychal doesn't play well. He says that. What does he say that?
Yeah. And
pretty much right here at the end of it. If JaMychal Green doesn't return and grab firmer hold of a rotation spot before the deadline, he'd be the most obvious candidate. So everybody else, we'll talk about Lamb in a minute.
Schmelvin just said trade Steph for Rudy. I guess the Timberwolves are ahead of us in the standings, so maybe we'll go up a spot or two if we trade Steph Curry for Rudy Gobert. Yeah.
All right. So, we've covered Ibaka. I mean, if Bob were to trade for Ibaka tomorrow, the next question I would ask is, okay, what did you see in Ibaka that JaMychal isn't bringing right now? And then I would trust his answer, whatever it may be. I'm not here to take Bob Myers' job. Anything else on Ibaka before we move on to the next one? Because what I want to do is then you can start talking about the next one. I'll listen in. I'll catch up to the people in the comments, and we'll do it that way.
Yeah. Well, I do have one question for you, real quick. Do you know what's going on with James Wiseman? I heard he had a kind of mild ankle sprain, and he's just been out for weeks. I haven't heard much about.
We should talk about Wiseman as he is going to be the trade enabler, I guess, because look, he's the guy. He's the guy that has the $10 million contract.
Yeah.
That so this Ibaka for JaMychal one, honestly, it for the rest of the 28 teams, they'd be like, whatever. It doesn't really bring a seismic shift to the NBA. Whereas Wiseman, for somebody, because this is a $9.6 million contract, that would be a big trade somewhere. And so as far as Wiseman, I don't have any info on Wiseman, but I would say that they're just being extra cautious. And lo and behold, we were just talking about load management yesterday. Both Steve and JB Bickerstaff actually talked about load management. If you go to our video channel, if you go here to the load management one, not only does Steve talk about it, but also JB Bickerstaff, the Cavs coach. And one thing that's I don't mean to sidetrack too far off of this, but Bickerstaff mentioned that um, doing load management, you're going to see players extend their careers from like what used to be 10 years to more like 15 years now. And so in the long run, the NBA wins out and, has more revenue that way. They should look at it that way. So he's in favor of load management, as is Steve. And so back to Wiseman, I just think Rick Celebrini, and that's Dr. Rick Celebrini, he is just being cautious with everybody. The way that I look at it, the way that I want to that I want to confirm somehow with somebody, and I'll work on this. It's not my, I'm not Anthony Slater. It's not my day job to get the info from insiders.
Yeah.
A lot of my job is really just covering all the bases, making it more behind the scenes feel for all the Warriors fans out there. So you really feel like you're the 18th man on the squad, that you can take a peek into the locker room every now and then, or at least feel what the team is thinking at any one point in time. And that's why I get into a lot of, I'm at odds with a lot of casual fans because they look at the game differently than I do. I want Let's Go Warriors to feel like they're the 18th man on the squad, where they're rooting for the team and they have the inside information and culture and osmosis to know what the team is thinking. And so what I think the team is thinking on this front is that I'm Dr. Rick Celebrini, and I have been tasked by Joe, Lacob, Bob Myers, and Steve Kerr, mostly Joe and Bob, to make sure that this squad is 100% healthy going into the playoffs. That is my job. That is my task. Do not deviate from that. So if that's my task, then my task is not to worry about getting into the playoffs. That's not my job. That's somebody else's job. In fact, that's Steve Kerr's job. But Steve has to do that with knowing that what Rick Celebrini says about the players from a health standpoint takes precedence, because we want Steph Curry to play 15 years, not 10, or in this case, 17 years, not 13 or 14. We want to make sure Clay stays a Warrior for as long as possible, and that means he doesn't play back-to-backs just yet. And I the same feeling that you get as to why JaMychal keeps getting thrown under the bus is the same feeling as I get when people complain about Clay not playing in the back-to-back because we're chasing wins, right? We need to win this game. And it's like, but wait a minute, hold on. Like, that's Rick Celebrini's job, is to make sure Clay is good for the playoffs and remains a Warrior for a longer time than, the old era would have had Clay. So, 15 years instead of 12 years.
Another thing is, I don't think we've seen. Sorry, I don't think we've seen a lot of our kind of 10-man main rotation so far actually playing together. Especially if you want to include foundational six.
Just look at this. JaMychal is part of that, and I always have this tab saved up. This tab is from Game 6 of Boston, the finals. This is the roster that won us the championship, right? It's these 8 guys plus Andre as a bonus. And so we got to replace
GP2 and Otto. That's Donte and Kuminga, probably. No.
Yeah, I would have said that that's Donte and JaMychal, with Kuminga being a great bonus, a great icing on the cake. He's a game changer that brings the energy that, this championship winning roster is going to stumble into year 2 like they did, even without Gary and without Otto, with the hangover. You need an infusion of energy with somebody talented, and that happens to be Jonathan Kuminga.
And the athleticism too that he provides is outstanding. I mean, I can't believe we got Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah,
I remember watching him in the G League and going, man, if we get that guy for the 7th pick, and then I started watching Tankathon and his numbers were going higher. I went, oh, of course we're not going to get him, and then we did.
I know. He
we
fell
got
to 7th. That was incredible.
JK, man.
Just an incredible athlete, and then to really develop that skill around that athleticism, but then also develop the IQ inside of the Warriors and Steve Kerr system, which you could look at my X's and O's playlist. The first time I noticed it was against the Spurs, the previous game against the Spurs, where it looked like Kuminga had figured it out. So you guys go to the playlist, go look for the X's and O's, where you can search on the Kuminga. It's all there. But anyway, I'll go back to the comments and catch up. So Wiseman, I think it's just a product of Rick Celebrini being extra cautious and just making sure everyone's 100% by the time they step back on the floor. Because if you're not 100% in the NBA, the game moves so quickly. And now we can get into that debate of, even Chris Mullin and Darrell Wright talked about it last night on NBC, where, do we like modern load management or not? And I just think a lot of the old heads, they forget how fast the NBA has become, and running all the way back, and then running all the way back there, and then coming back, and then closing out on a guy, and
just the greater off-ball motion when you're not running back and forth too. That's a huge energy drainer.
I think a game playing 82 games today is way different than, name a guy, John Stockton playing 82 games in John Stockton's era. Way different. Go look at the video. Go look at the tape. They're walking it up. They're walking it up. It's different. We don't do that anymore. So just like Chris Mullin says, Steve Kerr mentioned there's science behind all of this. So if there's science behind all of this, at some point we got to trust it. So getting back to Wiseman, I think that's why it's taking so long for Wiseman to come back from a sprained ankle. But it's only, quote unquote, a sprained ankle. Thank goodness, you can come back from sprained ankles. So he'll be back. All right. Anything you want to talk about next? Just go ahead. Well, I think we went on a kind of a tangent, but that's what we do here.
That's what we do.
I cover all bases. But I'll look at the comments. But you can choose the next guy, whether it's Poeltl, Caruso, whatever.
Yeah. First and foremost, my man Blajan said we have 180 plus Dubs fans here right now on an off day.
Cool. Wow.
Which is awesome, and reminds everybody to please splash the like button. Maybe even give yourself a little high five when you do it.
High five. Remember the Miami game?
Yep.
Bill Kennedy said this was a high five. He literally
told for the people listening on audio, it's slapping the back of your wrist, which counts as part of the ball, I guess. I don't know.
That was the beginning of the end for this year's strange NBA rulebook as interpreted by referees. But anyways, that's another podcast that's coming.
That's the free throw disparity alone could be 20 minutes. I'm gonna come out and remind you guys that I'm sorry. If I were given the heavy burden of sitting in Bob Myers' chair, especially in between Lacob and Kerr, in terms of and the big three and everybody else in terms of or the trio. I mean, I find it a little hard to justify trading for Jakob Poeltl. Not because he's not a good player. I think he's consistently impressed me on the Spurs. I think if another playoff team got him, it would be, that'd be something where they would have a player that, the Warriors would clearly have to game plan for. The thing is, okay, we're the defending champions. And we've never used centers in anything more than a role-playing position in the terms of big players. DeMarcus Cousins in 2019 in the finals, as well as Bogut 19, 16, 15. Looney, is probably the closest that we've been to having a really kind of star center because he's gotten 20 and 20 games at some point. But, most most of the time we are going to run with big wings, and Kerr mentioned that he's probably going to stick with the small ball lineup for a little while, I believe, after Boston or Cleveland, one of those two. I think it was Boston.
Yep, we started. We started
Which
Poole
means
instead of
Poole's going to
Looney.
start and Looney's coming off the bench.
Man, that was so fast paced. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sometimes looks a little like, oh, we don't have enough size or anything like that during the regular season. But in the playoffs, everybody else goes small too. Okay. Just please remember, it's like a MIB flash after the postseason, All right, this is what happened. Let's go get a big man.
Like an MIB flash. Awesome. I'm writing notes in the description for later.
I don't know. Maybe some people are too young to know what that means, but it totally erases your it erases your memory. I feel like that happens all the time. Like a couple weeks after the playoffs, people start talking about getting these role playing centers, and if we really need that, I'm sorry, there are a bunch available. I still love Marquise Chris. I would have signed Marquise Chris right now if I was in that position.
You love Chris, man. Me too.
Like look, you can take this out of my salary, whatever the taxes are. But those guys are always going to be available. They're just, I hate to say it, but they are. And trading for a center in a position, I'm not saying another team shouldn't do it, because I think Poeltl is probably would be a very good contributor in a lot of playoff teams, and the Spurs aren't making the playoffs. So I'm looking more at maybe finding a more of a forward who can play a big alongside Draymond, with a little bit of with a little bit of ability to rebound and shoot, something like that. If we're actually going to make a trade at a higher production level than JaMychal Green or some of the guys that we already have, and more experience than, say, Patrick Baldwin. So as someone looking at the way the Warriors want to play, why not just keep Wiseman if you want Poeltl? Like, because he's a little bit further along, but Wiseman's bigger, more athletic, more fluid. He's a good player. He's a talented player. Okay. It's not his, and I think he's a hard worker and he's willing to learn. I don't think I've ever heard him complain, at least not publicly. I like actually that he kind of puts his head down when he makes a mistake, and it really weighs heavily on him because he's like a child, he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And this is his first real important basketball experience. He played 3 games in college. I hate to keep bringing that up, but man,
I think we should come back to Wiseman after we've checked all the boxes on the other guys, because that's really one of the main things about it. But I appreciate you bringing it up. And before we move on to the next one, maybe you do want to say something else about Wiseman that is, fresh in your mind. But before we move off of Poeltl, I did an X's and O's breakdown video of the Spurs game, which I think was the same one where I noticed Kuminga was starting to get it. He was getting the 0.5 basketball. And even back then, people were, just because people are so negative on social media, they were saying, oh, Kuminga looks lost. Kuminga looks lost. That's like the thing to say when you hate a guy. Oh, he looks lost. I just saw that on the
bad hands.
Somebody said, I forget who looks lost. And we're sitting here going, even the other commenters on this channel, see, our channel is turning the tide, man. other commenters are going, "Are you kidding me? He looks lost." Nah, we didn't look. Nobody looked lost against the Cavs. Sorry. But anyways, but I wanted to say the same Spurs breakdown video that I did. I saw one play. I mean, I don't mean to nitpick Poeltl because we've seen him play well against the Warriors in the past.
Mm-hmm.
These last 2 games against the Warriors, he has not done anything that jumps off the page that impacts winning. And in fact, in that breakdown video, I found a play where he came around the curl. Somebody came around a curl. He was at the high post. He missed the guy. The same offense that we run, the split action type stuff.
Yeah.
Guard came around the screen, wide open for a layup against us. He didn't deliver it, and you could see 2 seconds later, Greg Popovich was stomping on the bench.
Yeah.
He was pissed at Poeltl.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there going, okay, so Poeltl makes some mistakes as well. So
every player does, I mean,
we're going to trade Wiseman for Poeltl at $10 million, and then also, as we do every single time when there's a trade scenario, you have got to go look at the salary cap table. You just have to, just to make sure you're doing the right trade. I mean, I bet you Bob Myers does that one last time before he goes, okay, yeah, we'll do the trade, right? He goes, you go look at Poeltl right here. Okay, 9.3 million. Uh-oh, he's a free agent, unrestricted free agent. So he could walk. He could walk up.
Because we only have him right now, we don't have bird rights. We don't have early bird rights. So it'd be very difficult to even give him another contract to keep him on the team. The only way to realistically do that would be to extend him once we get him, if the extension deadline is still available.
And so for the newbies on that, it's just like, that's why we went out of our way to beg Kevin Durant to do a sign-in trade to bring D'Angelo Russell back from the Nets, because you don't want to lose that salary slot. There's this, when Bob Myers, one part of his day is to go and shake hands with all the Warriors to maintain that camaraderie and stuff, and the human side of it. The other side of his job is to look at everybody as an asset. And if you're shipping out an asset that you have locked in, and you're going to trade that for Poeltl that just falls off a cliff here, then there's nothing you can do with that asset. Like, at least if we don't trade Wiseman this season, that we've already, this is red, but it should be, it should be black, because we already exercised the team option on Wiseman. We're going to pay him $12 million. That's still an asset that we can move for another $12 million back, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So when you're playing that game of armchair GM, you got to remember that you want to have flexibility, and Bob Myers calls it optionality. So the option to still be able to trade Poeltl for somebody else later on, if that doesn't pan out or whatever, or some deal lands in your lap and somebody goes, oh, we want Poeltl, and we'll give you this, that, and the other thing, and that fits us better, maybe a draft pick or whatever. But we can't do that with Poeltl, because his contract will fall off a cliff. He becomes a free agent unless, like you said, we extend him. So I just wanted to jump in and say, oh, by the way, on Poeltl, transactionally doesn't make sense to me. Just because his contract ends this summer, wouldn't make sense to do that one.
Expirings are difficult to give up, the number 2 pick. And again, a guy who's just really talented. If there's any problem with Wiseman, it's inexperience and playing on a team that doesn't, if he was on a developing team, I think he'd be really incredible to watch, because they'd just be able to game plan. They'd be able to make a game plan, an offense around him, and he wouldn't have to fit into an offense built for Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. That's huge. That's a huge, huge reason why Wiseman has struggled a little bit, to find consistent minutes and a consistent role in the rotation.
Also, go ahead with Wiseman, because we're on the topic, and to get Poeltl, you would have had to trade Wiseman. So let's talk about Wiseman.
Yeah, and also talking about a backup big that fits our rotation. Jonathan Kuminga is that player. Okay. Also, Looney is not just some throwaway guy anymore. He's the star center of the team.
By the way, go ahead and keep talking about Looney because I want to show you guys an awesome behind the scenes, under the radar article about Looney that was from the locker room last night that I found today. Go ahead.
You want me to keep talking about Looney?
Oh yeah.
And
Or whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. So I do think it's interesting that Kerr is going with the small ball system. I was watching some of because I was at work and I missed the game. I was watching some of the Cavs Warriors highlights, the team highlights. And I'm getting the feeling that maybe the Warriors have been just trying to shoot their way through the first half of the season, see what they can do while mostly playing offense and, not going all out unless it's Celtics or Grizzlies or I think the Suns game they tried and got just beat up. So I think that was them playing their best and losing badly. But some of these other teams, again, we haven't had our full rotation together, and a lot of other teams haven't either. But we haven't really had our full rotation together for that many games, and I think Kerr saying that is a little bit of like we're gonna see if we can score enough to win until maybe post All-Star break, and then you try and turn it up and peak from then to the end of the season. Hopefully, because there does seem to be another level that the Warriors can get to when they really care. That it just feels that way. We're great at home and we're great against really good teams, and we've just somnambulized our way through games that
oh my God,
are against like lower level teams. Lost a bunch of them when we shouldn't have, but somnambula, sleepwalk.
I don't even know how to spell that. That's incredible. Spell that for me. Somnambulized. There it is. Somnambulism. Somnambulized. Oh, you hit the word of the day. Wait, what is this?
No, it's you were.
I don't know what that is. Anyway, somnambulized. 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 There it is. Somnambulism. Right there. Sleepwalking. Yeah, I agree with you. If I may just jump in here, I think that's been I just said that in the comments to somebody. I forget who, maybe it was I forget. I'll get to all of you, I promise. But I was just saying that's been the number one issue of the Warriors. It isn't play better has been the number one issue. It isn't so much we lack this, we lack that. It's really, and we've seen it. The home game against the Cavs was like the first one they took seriously because, oh, look at the standings. Look how good the Cavs are in the East. Okay, we're going to get up for this one. And then at the Indiana game and the game up in Sacramento, just like, wow, where's your minds, guys? And I would even point to Steph and Draymond. It's like, you're the leaders. You're the Hall of Famers. You got it. I used to be a coach. I coached, I selected all-stars from my league. A lot of egos. So we go down to a tournament in LA and we get humbled. We think we're the best team ever assembled out of the Bay Area, as far as the Asian American community. And we go down there. And it's just like, it's tough to get up for the teams that you think you're going to beat before you even walk in the gym type stuff. It just is human nature. But then again, there are superstars like, named Michael Jordan that would never allow that, So you would hope, but then I'm thinking, and I'm getting into real 64,000 foot level type stuff here. I think maybe my latest ponderings have got me thinking that maybe Steph and Dre, there's a combination. Maybe Steph and Dre, it's just they're getting older and it's harder to really just get up for all these teams during the regular season because they know the playoffs are where it's at. Now, the problem with that is you better make the playoffs, and it better not be a play-in, because one game and you're out. Anything can happen in that one game. So I think they have that mentality that, yeah, no one can beat us in a 7-game series. We still haven't seen it. Draymond said that. He reinforced that last podcast, the Draymond show. And so the problem with that is that everybody has that fear. Oh, you're under 500. Oh, we might not, the fear kind of takes a snowball effect on the fans. But and they're getting older, so they can't tap that energy as much. And what else did I want to say? Well, it'll come to me later, but that's been the main problem. Oh, the last thing is that credit the NBA, credit all of the other teams. The Houston Rockets can beat you on any given night. They really, when they're fully healthy with Jalen Green, right, who is injured right now. OKC, we've got them coming up. That one, you used to not worry about that one, but I'm looking at, if this was a playoffs, think of it this way. If we played OKC, not a play-in, first round of the playoffs, 7-game series, who here is worried? All 200 of us right here, we're not worried. But OKC, this young, talented team, up and coming, is not going to beat us 4 times, right? But next week, regular season game, and we're chasing wins. I'm worried about that game because it's regular season. It's different, right? The playoffs are so different than the regular season. And so it's just this weird dynamic of championship hangover. Then JP and Wiggins signed their extensions. Then we have, ring ceremony, well, championship hangover, ring ceremony, the 0-5 road trip, them signing the extension, then Steph and Dre probably just getting older, and just the NBA being so much better now, and blah 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 blah. We're 500. So that's my 64,000 foot summary of the season. But the bottom line, what does that mean? That means that we can play better when we need to. The Boston game, even though we lost that game, I have it on our videos. Jason Tatum and Al Horford. So this is like early in the morning the other day. I thought I was done posting videos from Boston, right? Lo and behold, I go check out the Al Horford post game. He's sitting there going, wow, the Warriors defense, they're so physical and they don't foul. Same thing with Tatum. Oh yeah, they're so physical. I'm sitting here going, have you watched our regular season games? We are not physical, and we foul the hell out of everybody and take you to the line. But
not if you're a finals contender.
Exactly. So when we play Memphis, when we play Boston, we play how we're supposed to play. And when we don't play those teams, we typically don't. So it's that part of finding that identity and keeping that the same throughout, which is hard to do over 82 games. So, the more and more that I talk through this, the better I feel about the Warriors. And I feel like I understand what's happening better, like all these little things that happen over the course of the season. But the bottom line is that the NBA itself is such a good league now. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I forgot how we got onto that. You were talking about Looney, you were talking about Wiseman, then you talked about Looney, and then we got onto the topic of playing up to the competition, playing so well against teams like Boston and Memphis this season. So we know they can do it. It's just a matter of doing it.
And they've done it against everybody at home for the most part. I know when Steph was out, we lost 2 games and people started throwing a tantrum because Jordan Poole had a couple late turnovers. Before we go on, I just want to defend my man JP3. Name another player in their 4th year with that level of pressure who's been going back and forth, starting, coming off the bench, being the number 1 option or being the number 4 option from night to night. And the biggest problem you have is, well, in clutch situations when he's already gotten us 30 points, even though he's been shooting poorly, and is the one guy who can get to the free throw line. Sometimes he dribbles the ball off his foot. Oh, we hate him. Who else is like that? Tyler Hero? I don't know. I think Jordan's been playing, he's been put in a very difficult position, and I appreciate having him on the team because we got a young guy who could just randomly drop 30 points. You know, whenever you need him to. That's insane. You know, nobody else has that. Their second option might be able to do that. You know, like Jordan Poole is already up there with a lot of veterans, I would say. You know, he's been improving defensively. His understanding of the game will get better and better as he gets older. And again, he's just being tossed back and forth all over the rotation, where he's leading the second unit, and then Looney gets put in the second unit. Now Jordan Poole's again the third or fourth option offensively, but he's starting, and then Steph is out, so he's the number one option. And then Clay's going off, and he has to be the point guard. But then they'll put in Donte, and he has to go to shooting guard while Clay plays this. I mean, he's had no consistency in what they're asking him to do, and for the most part, he's basically been up to the challenge, and he's making some mistakes that fourth-year players would make more if they had to play that much, and they don't. So you don't see it from other players as much. But man, I got Jordan Poole's back, man. I hate all this trash people are talking about. He's 23 years old.
We're still getting trade JP, but I'm starting to think that I don't even know what to think about those types of comments, but I still see him once in a while. Yeah. Trade JP. Oh, good Lord. Anything that goes
and he's hit huge shots in the playoffs already. I mean, that shot to end the third quarter in Game 5, that might have won us the title. You remember that? Real long range bank? We were down 2, and that put us up 1 going into the fourth quarter when Steph was struggling in Game 5 at home last year. Mm-hmm. That turned that game around, allowed us to
Steve Kerr mentioned that. Yeah. He mentioned that in an interview, in a pregame or a postgame just recently. It's on our channel. You can look at the quote. It's literally in there. The one that also has Gary Payton in it. So that's the one where he credited Jordan Poole Game 5. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I get that some people are upset with some of the decisions he's making, at the end of games and going a little too fast or falling down. And we could talk about Jordan Poole getting smacked every time he goes to the rim. Like actually, body checked going to the rim all the time and rarely getting foul calls. It was Jordan Poole, not Gary Payton, right?
Yeah, but the one where he credited Jordan,
yeah.
It's in the same video, and I'll just copy and paste that. But go ahead.
When the playoffs roll around, really, I think it'll probably be a lot of Steph, Poole, Clay, Wiggs, Green, Looney, JK, JMike, Donte, maybe a little Iguodala. And hopefully some Moody. That's even with that, honestly, even without Wiseman playing a lot or anybody else popping or Patrick Baldwin going off or, who knows what could happen. That's already really solid 10-man rotation. So why even talk about trades if we already have a solid 10-man rotation? Just because of where we are in the season, the fact that we have the second worst road record in the league? Yeah, maybe. But let's not overemphasize a regular season. Look, if we overemphasize what happened in the regular season last year, even after winning a championship. Yeah, we had a pretty mediocre second half of the season from about January till April, right? It's like 25-24 or something like that we went after going 18 or 20-2, I think. Well, real quick, someone in the comments here is saying that Kuminga, they're talking about his defensive skills and everything. I think JK is learning exponentially every game, it seems. I've loved the way he's been playing since the Utah game where he got in a bit of a fight. I think got a technical late, and we lost that game, but it was late in the game. And I'm very happy to have him back. I think he's going to be really the X factor if he is out there, with that level of energy, with that level of athleticism. I mean, first and foremost, that's a 3-position player, 3, 4, and 5. The small forward, power forward, and center. And that's an incredible weapon for the Warriors to be able to use. Really, I mean, Kuminga, Dre, and Loon might not be a ton of shooting, but that's a monster front court right there. And we want to do Steph, Poole, Clay, Wiggs, and Kuminga. Give Draymond and Loon a little bit of rest and have a bunch of shooting. I mean, it's just incredible that we have the option for that. And I would caution you guys just to take it a little bit easy on Kuminga and see the way he grows every game. People are saying he can't play D, he can't fouling too much or not guarding pick and roll or whatever. I have full confidence that JK will be just fine. He's just that kind of player, personality-wise, I think, where he's been through some real life stuff and outside of basketball, and I can see the fire in him to want to be not just to want to win or anything, but to want to continue to better himself all the time. I think I see that. Okay, so I heard on another podcast that Lamb is at 37 games and Ty Jerome is at 27 games played. So on the two-way contract, that's you are limited to playing 50 games in the regular season, and you are not able to play in the playoffs. So if we don't convert these guys, they won't matter to actually playing. I guess they're still on team, so they're important, in the locker room and on the bench and everything. But we have a 15th roster spot that I don't think probably will be filled this year. I think I'd be surprised if like what?
We won't convert? No, we're going to convert one of them.
Really? Why?
Because to keep their rights. I think I've seen enough from Lamb. We might as well go on a tangent on Lamb.
Yeah.
Let me put it in the notes. We're going on a little tangent on Lamb for right now. I know that some people, and I talked about this last live stream, some people on Twitter who get a lot of traction have been, in my mind, throwing Lamb under the bus. They may not realize that they're throwing Lamb under the bus until you get close with players and they see what you say on Twitter. I've been in those shoes before where, it becomes a situation where they go, "Oh, you're doubting me," and everything, and then you kind of go, yeah, I guess I am. I guess I'll stop doing that. because I'm supposed to have full confidence in you.
Nobody wants bad press anyway, you know?
If I'm going to be the 18th guy on the team and observing this team and enjoying the team and giving you the behind the scenes, passing on what I see, then yeah, I got to be part of the culture, and the culture says that I shouldn't really doubt you. But okay, so they're picking out situations where Lamb didn't close out on Vucevic or Caruso. Then Draymond went on the podium the next day and was saying things alluding to Lamb not closing out on the strong side. Well, one of the plays I did notice was a pick and roll off of Donte. Donte lost the guy, point of attack. So Lamb went towards Caruso and left whoever it was in the corner, shooter for the Bulls. Maybe it was Vucevic, I don't know, but someone in the corner. And that one I could see, like, that's not entirely his fault. Like, you're gonna just allow Caruso to go straight to the hoop. You know, I mean, you've got to protect the rim at some point. So that's debatable. And what happened after that was Steve said, okay, we got to blitz the pick and roll from now on. So then you saw the adjustment that the Warriors made, which was Jordan Poole would immediately attack that pick and roll, and one of them was a dumb foul. He attacked a split second too late and bumped into Caruso or Zach LaVine. I forget who it was. But then, I mean, you could see all of the Warriors' characteristics come out. And then I got to thinking, you know, and then now they're saying, oh, Draymond was saying that he would prefer that basically didn't name Anthony Lamb, but who else could it be? You know, he took the charge. Remember that charge that he took late in the game against Washington, I think it was. So the game after Chicago, had to be Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saved the game, you know. And Draymond's on the podium saying he took a charge. Great play, but you know, next time don't leave your
strong side corner. Yeah.
However, you got to understand. So everyone's throwing Lamb under the bus, but me, because I'm always in a learning state. I'm not in a negative state. I don't need to be right. I'm just trying to learn. I'm trying to understand Anthony Lamb better. And what I'm getting is that Lamb is an instinctive player. The first breakdown that I did showed him stopping the guys 5 times under the rim. Go look at it. I know the playlist on Let's Go Warriors video channel is all messed up right now, but that was my first breakdown of this year. I said, oh my gosh, in 13 seconds, Lamb did 5 things on defense that you wouldn't have expected. And he stopped the guys multiple times 5 times in 13 seconds. And that's just instincts. And I'm thinking over time, Draymond's going to get that Lamb, okay, I can give him a pass. Because how many guys other than Draymond can kind of freestyle like that? And Lamb making an impactful winning play to take that charge, you know, that just tells me he seems to be in the right place. And I've done other breakdowns where I go, well, he probably shouldn't have helped there because Steph can usually hold his own in the post. He didn't need to go help Steph so many times. It just takes reps and reps and reps. But I like what I see from Lamb. Like, I can see a trajectory towards greater and greater defensive IQ. Like, the more that I think about it, out of all the guys, all the young guys, I feel like Lamb has the most potential for high IQ defensive basketball out of all the young guys, including Kuminga, because Kuminga kind of he's a great one-on-one ball defender.
Yeah.
Outside remains to be seen.
Something that comes with more and more experience too, as you play in the NBA.
I just love how Lamb, maybe he needs to adjust a few things, but it's just slight tweaks like, oh no, Steph's got that post-up defense. He's got that. Or Clay, he can handle it. I don't need to help instinctively because all his life he's been helping as a 4-5 like that, just like he did in the Washington game. I'd have to go look at that particular play and see who he helped off of, but I'll bet you it was probably Jordan Poole, or it's probably not Draymond, because Draymond's helping as well. It was a guy that he probably doesn't trust as much to be able to keep the guy in front. So he went and gambled. So Lamb is just like Draymond, in my opinion. Obviously not as good as Draymond, to me, is the best defender ever. But so that's not a comparison. But Lamb, he's pretty
No,
darn.
I get the kind of 4-5, little undersized, but very quick and strong, helps, able to be the free safety type player. Yeah.
So getting back to the original topic, which was Lamb and Jerome on two ways, I think Lamb's a keeper. I think he's a keeper because of what I'm seeing in terms of the, sort of the gambles that he's making. Like, I can understand those gambles. The gambles that, for instance, the gambles that Jordan Poole makes, just dumb. Like, Anthony Lamb's gambles are not dumb. Jordan Poole's gambles are kind of just dumb. And he'll mature out of that.
Yeah. And he's a guard.
His gambles are well thought out, actually. Sometimes they're wrong.
I wasn't saying these guys weren't keepers. I'm telling you, they're not going to sign someone to a 15-man roster spot for the money. I just don't think Lacob's going to spend that money. So there probably will be some.
It's not that much, but you can wait until the last day, or you can wait until you need Lamb to play the 51st game. Okay, let's just convert you. And then Joe is going to go, okay, Bob, does that make our team better?
Yeah, but I think that they'd waive someone to get them in there to keep it at 14, personally.
All right, well, hey, we weren't going to agree on it.
I hope not. I would love to have a extra player on the bench, but if they haven't signed someone now, I don't know. Maybe you're right. And they'll bite bullet financially.
I get where you're coming from, though. I get where you're coming from on that, in terms of that luxury tax.
Let's talk about. We can go through. So, on the original question, Cousins, Crowder, and Caruso. DeMarcus Cousins is probably not coming back here. He's already been here. And I don't know. Again, that would be, he's a free agent, so that would be signing him to the 15th roster spot over Jerome or Lamb. So that's not going to happen. I'm willing to bet on that.
Oh,
Jae Crowder.
One more thing. I think you do want to go into the playoffs with all 15, just in case of an injury.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm just telling you from what the Warriors have been doing this season to just try and save a little bit of money, that I would guess that they're going to try and do it with 14, even if it's not what I want. That's just my read on that.
Going into the playoffs?
Yeah.
14? Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
They have a huge luxury tax, and it's like, what, $5 for every dollar they spend, or $8 or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
So,
well, no, I mean, you can sign the guy on the last day of the game, last day of the season to make.
Yeah, but it's still, it would still incur the luxury tax for his contract.
Yeah, it becomes 1 million, becomes 7, 8, 9, 10 million. Yeah, I get
like 10 million for a 15th man, and I don't know if
I think Joe would go, no, that's worth it. I don't know.
I hope so. If it really affects the ability to win, but they're going to try and not do that if they can. And that could be as simple as cutting Ryan Rollins. I'm sure it doesn't have I don't know if
then
guaranteed.
You're going to eat his contract plus taxes and penalties anyways. If you waive a guy, you've already.
I didn't mean waive. Just a little move like that to try and open up some space. Or I hope that's not what's going to happen. It's just they're paying a lot in luxury tax, man. So anyway, I also think that. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they do make. Well, we can talk about that later. We can talk about that later once we go through these. Jae Crowder, who we've already touched upon a little bit, It's just too much money for a player like that, you know. What are we going to give him minutes over Kuminga? Or I don't know. It's fine. He hasn't played in a while. He's good. I liked him a lot when he was on the Jazz, and he's always impressed me when he's been on other teams. But how do you give up? How can you stomach giving up Wiseman for Jae Crowder? You get what I mean?
Yeah,
Like this is also a political diplomatic type thing, and that's just not a great look for your organization. You know.
also Crowder has made it known that he wants to, be a starter, if not probably, part of, the top 6 or 7 guys.
He's coming off the bench here.
There's no way
doubt.
that's happening with the Warriors. There's just absolutely no way, because we've got too many guys and we got too many good guys. We've got a foundational 6, so you're not cracking the first 6.
He also hasn't come back.
So that ends that, trade scenario before it even starts, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he hasn't even come back to help the Suns when they were the number 1 seed in the West, and I think they're at 10th or 11th, maybe 12th now.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't come back,
and they've had injuries upon injuries.
Yeah, where there's been plenty of opportunity for him to start. So
I know that you want that.
I'm good.
In the locker
I'll
room.
wash my hands on that one, and sorry. Caruso's interesting. A little bit similar in like, hey, you're trading Wiseman for Caruso. A little maybe injury prone, also kind of plays Donte's role.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So you'd have to include Donte in the deal.
I do like him a lot, though. I mean, that's now like $12 million. So you're getting somebody else back?
$9 million.
It's hard trading James and Donte for Caruso.
How's that gonna, that's gonna affect your locker room if you bring in Caruso? What's Donte gonna think? Like, what do we go through all that for? Why did I take a lesser salary because he had better offers to come here and then you trade for Caruso?
Yeah.
Bob is very good at that. He knows your ego, and he's not going to do that.
Yeah. I think I'd be okay trading both those guys if we got something that would be terrifying to the league. And the one name that comes up when I think of that is Bojan Bogdanovic on the Pistons. A vet, a really, really good player with a very team-friendly contract. It's about 19 something right now. Goes to 20 next year, then back down to 19. It's not fully guaranteed. About 6'8", super tough.
Said Bogs or Bojan?
Bojan.
Okay, Bojan.
The guy who used to play on the Jazz.
He's on
and the Pistons have every reason to want young players and to get rid of a guy has no business missing the playoffs just because he's on a terrible team.
Is this the one that you told me you had an idea on?
Yeah.
As far as, oh my gosh, he's making $19 million?
Yeah.
How do we make this deal?
Well, it's Wiseman.
19.5 million, my goodness.
Here, I can let me go.
I mean, he becomes a tradable asset later. I look at that and I say, okay, that's tradable, rather than, he makes too much or whatever. It's like, as a GM looking at assets, okay. So you were saying for obviously Wiseman and Donte, that's another $4 million. And then you got to throw
I think so.
And Moody?
Moody or DiVincenzo, and probably Green or Rollins, maybe Baldwin has enough. We can make the salaries work with a couple guys. That allows you to sign both Lamb and Jerome if need be. Donte's going to be a Warrior forever. Wow, got a crystal ball there, huh? Donte's probably not going to sign his $4.7 million contract. Is a player option next year and hit free agency anyway. So, and Bojan Bogdanovic, man, would be perfect for this team. I'm telling you guys, he'd be perfect for this team. I know that's kind of a lot to give up.
Defensively? How about defensively?
Defensively as well, I think.
6'8". Yeah, we like the height.
40%
Oh yeah,
shooter
he
and
killed us
really
last
tough.
game. By the way, he killed us, and we have a penchant for getting guys who killed us.
Yeah.
Too. That's a good idea. Good idea, Dean.
Yeah, I know. But here's the other thing.
What?
Ray 32, whatever that is. Um,
We gotta think about this some more.
it also allows you to concentrate greater minutes on the young players who we're keeping behind. Okay, we've got Steph Clay and Draymond is our trio. Wiggs and Looney are our bridge. JP, Kuminga, and here I said
Yeah.
Looney. JP,
Oh,
Kuminga,
I got to share the
and
screen, guys.
I'm
Oh
forgetting.
man. Well, we're currently on the Detroit salary cap table. Sorry, screwed that up. He is making the most money on Detroit. Wow, who would have guessed?
It's not that much though. I mean, 19 million in 2025 is going to be nothing. That's not even guaranteed. I think.
Yep, totally right on that. Cade will then creep up. Not even Cade is making even close to that. See how valuable draft picks are? Look at that. Cade's a freaking bargain.
No, it's not impossible.
You looking at the comments?
No, we would be taking a lot on like 6 million more than we'd be giving up. So
we'd have to send out at least 3 guys. So then,
maybe.
Okay. Then you can convert Lamb and Jerome too.
Yeah.
I was going to say who you're going to get. You got to get some filler dudes, but no, you can.
And maybe this is something that would be better done in the offseason once Wiseman's salary goes up a little bit more and Bojan's goes up by $450,000 for a whole another year. But I would be very excited to get Bogdanovic on this team. I know he's a little older, a little more injury prone than some of these other guys who don't play for the most part, by the way. But that's what I'm looking at, where that makes sense, where we would give up something in a trade. These other trades, they're too horizontal for me, where it's just one piece for another. That's not an actual upgrade. You get what I mean? An upgrade who will be very important in the playoff rotation.
Right.
We need, if we're going to make a trade, if we're going to trade, they don't care about winning though, and that's a bunch of assets for them. That's why they would do it. And why would they keep Bogdanovic? You know what I mean? Like, they're probably going to try and trade him somewhere. But if you got a better trade where we actually get someone who can help in the playoffs, if we actually get someone who fits with our rotation, if you get someone who can, who's not that young, who's a vet, who would work with our, with our trio of Wiggins and Loon, you know those guys. I think that's something that we would do. And the other team has to have a reason. You say they're suffering without a vet. They want to. They're trying to get Wembanyama. They're the worst team in the league. And, look, if you have Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, let's see. I would say I like writing out rotations if I'm going to try and make a trade, right? Even for the other team to see if it makes sense. Less so if it's this kind of scenario where they're just trying to get as many young assets as they could. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been kind of mulling this over, seeing how we could try and get him, because I watched him in Utah and I know how good he would be with the Dubs. But there's nothing that we really gain from getting rid of this young talent for players who are hardly even improvements to them, you know, like Olynyk and stuff like that. He's good. I haven't looked at his contract. We can check that out on the Jazz.
Are you done talking about Bojan?
Well, I mean, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's the best, most realistic trade scenario I've heard, because
Really?
like most everybody brings up some trade that I'm like, would Bob actually be interested in that? And then this one to me, ranks the highest in terms of something that Bob would be interested in. But do you want them to do this deal?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
Because I think it'll help us win a 5th championship.
Gotcha.
If he's hurt, maybe not.
Interesting.
That's but there's always going to be some risk. There's always going to be some
Oh, is
risk.
he hurt?
Well, Bogdanovic is a little older, and but if he's playing, man, yeah, he would be awesome on this team.
89, so he's 23 plus 11, 34 years old. Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, wow, it's
That's why he's
34,
cheap,
but he has a tradable contract still, though.
Yeah.
At least he's not falling off a cliff. He's unrestricted or anything. Interesting. Yeah, I got to digest that some more. See, I don't need to do the knee-jerk reaction just yet. But okay,
No, please
let it
next. Marinate. Not just you, Rich. Everybody, and not the Bogdanovic thing. Just in general, let things marinate a little. Sleep on it. Relax.
So you want to look at Kelly Olynyk? Let's go to Utah.
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk. That's an interesting name, and obviously I've seen a lot of him being a Jazz follower as well.
12 million.
Looks like
12
he's making
million.
around 12, 13.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 million, 12.8, and it's a slight decline too next year. That's interesting.
I don't know if he moves the needle enough for me. Kind of like Poeltl. Got some drag racing over there?
Yeah.
At a Daytona?
Right on PCH here.
Oh, okay. That explains it. 12.8 mil. Then 12.1 mil. Okay.
So this is a nice I do like the Olynyk idea in terms of adding a role player. I think the Jazz probably don't really mind what happens with the season,
Right.
If they get into the playoffs, that's awesome. If they don't, they have plenty of picks and their own picks too. So they might be willing to make a trade, right? The other team has to actually have a reason to trade with us too, which is something that isn't always brought up, right? Like, we need this. Okay, why do I need that? That's just the way sports are. They don't care what you like. No one cares what we need if they don't need anything from us. You know what I mean? Like, there was Payton Pritchard trade rumors, right?
That was weird.
That was very strange.
So wait, the bottom line on Kelly?
Yeah.
Good one or what?
Oh, I was saying the Jazz might actually have a reason to try and make a trade. Now, Wiseman for Olynyk is what it would probably have to be, because we're not really talking about trading too many players here. Like, we don't want to trade Kuminga or Looney, obviously, or Poole or any of these other guys. Yeah. So, again, Olynyk's averaging 12 points a game, very efficient shooter. I think he's shooting well, let's look it up.
Oh, okay. So we're still talking about
41% from 3, 58% from 2, 83% from 9.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah. So that's a useful player, and his His defense isn't bad. He's not a tremendous individual defender, but he's certainly a very reliable, in the right place, kind of communicative team defender. Exactly what you'd want from a vet. So I'm interested in that, and I don't think the Jazz would be hard set against it. It's a little hard trading an asset like Wiseman for a guy like Olynyk. But I like it. I like the idea. I haven't thought about it much. I haven't gone through the trade machines. Some people are saying we'd have to do a 3-team trade for Bogdanovic. That's not what I've found on ESPN's trade machine, and also Trade Checker from, I forget where that's from.
The whole 3-team trade scenario things. We're not doing that. Those are nobody can predict that. There hasn't been one 3-team trade scenario that has been predicted by anybody in the history of the universe. Sorry.
Yeah. They're just way too complex.
Here's a 3-team trade. Just ignore it. Why not just sit back and go, okay, I trust Bob. If Bob wants to come up with a 3-team trade scenario, great. I'm all for it, or I'm all against it, whatever. But to really, go into a thread about any 3-team trade scenario is just like, that's a waste of time. But where's the thing about Wiseman that said that they didn't want to really move Wiseman? So anyways, it's mainly this, but there's something about where Lacob doesn't really want to mess with Wiseman because they'd hate to see Wiseman blossom somewhere else after all the time and effort and money that we've put into his player development and rehab. And that's the other thing, like with Olynyk, so my question to you is, does getting Kelly Olynyk win us a championship?
It helps in the short term, but one of the reasons I was more interested in a guy like Bogdanovic, although he costs $8 million a year more, is you do want a guy, if you're going to trade, and someone brought up, along with Olynyk, Jarred Vanderbilt, if we're throwing in a couple more assets.
Vanderbilt at $4 million.
Yeah, but he's a higher value for the Jazz because of that contract and because of the way he's been playing and because of his size and shooting and everything.
Yeah.
So that would bring us up to about 16 million, which would about fit with, the JaMychal Green, Donte DiVincenzo or Moses Moody, Wiseman type thing. That's not bad because you get two important, useful pieces. I hate saying that about people, but contract slots.
Jarred Vanderbilt, 34%. I didn't know it was that low.
Yeah, he's a real power forward, though.
I'd rather have JMike. Sorry.
There you go. Although he is only 23 years old, so a little bit of
there's that.
Boost.
But you're including him on a deal, I guess, to make the salary. No, that's 16 million. Nah. Well, we did talk about Vanderbilt, as somebody requested in the comments there. So I don't know. The 3-point shooting percentage isn't high enough for me. It's too risky. We're a 3-point shooting team.
Wow. JaMychal's guy that I'd like to play with him for the rest of my life, Jokic said. That's beyond his career, hopefully. He's amazing, his effort, his energy, his talent. Do you have a source for that?
Ray 30? Yeah, I remember seeing that too.
Yeah. No, I'm not doubting it. I like to see where Jokic said that. Yeah.
Jarred Vanderbilt.
That's pretty cool. So I guess the final thing is, this is all about Wiseman, isn't it? This whole thing is all about Wiseman.
Yeah, and I think he has so much potential in terms of having another dimension for this team that that a lot of the other NBA teams have, which is some kind of a big man, some kind of offensive system, whether it's high pick and roll with the big man or just post them up. Man, it's so hard to find those guys. So to ship them off for anybody other than a Bojan Bogdanovic that, would really help us solidify kind of a championship, I feel. Just I haven't really thought about it too much, but that's the only name that I feel like that kind of really, really goes, wow. Kelly Olynyk doesn't make me go, wow. But Bojan, looking at his height, his size, ability to shoot the three, the way that he killed us, and the way that a Bojan could fit in a system, European style player. Again, the 6'8". Okay, maybe I would trade away Wiseman for that. But anybody else so far,
it's
tough for me to do.
It's also like we have to get, as you just mentioned, players who we can be confident really fit into the Warriors system, because we're not going to get more talent back, really. I mean, that's Wiseman, man. He's huge and able to move very well. So, someone's bringing up Myles Turner, and that's been floated a lot, I think.
Yeah, that contract is tough. He's like at what, 18 million or something? Let's take a look. Indiana. $18 million. I've seen this enough.
And it's an expiring too, which means we can't. So
nah.
We can't get that contract back unless we extend him, right? And I imagine he'd want to hit free agency. So that's a couple months rental for James Wiseman. That's tough.
Yep. Oh, Nicole's here.
I don't think it's a dream, man. They're trying to tank. They want young assets. They're not going to keep the same exact team together that they have. I don't think that's a total dream. We can, help them. Now, the part where I think it is a little unrealistic is that all those guys together are still $3 million less than we're getting back from Bogdanovic. So that is a little tough. Although it's less money in the future if we're trying to keep DiVincenzo, have Wiseman go up by $3 million, have Moody go up by $1 million or so. So next year would be a little bit cheaper than now, but it's not a dream. Come on now, I did my research. It's at least reasonable. Okay, give me that, please. Wiseman does need time to play, and he's not even getting that in the G League, which is a little strange. Wiseman just needs run. Honestly,
they don't have what they need. How do you know? Well, we've got to make the salaries match, so we're getting Wiseman, Donte, Moody.
Well, I wouldn't want to give up Donte and Moody together. It'd be more like JMike and Rollins along with that.
JMike.
And that allows you guys to sign Lamb and Jerome, who you love, right? You guys all love them.
If I'm Detroit, I'd probably want, PBJ or Moody in there.
Instead of Donte?
I'm about to make you I'm about to make you repeat in championship. You got to give me either PBJ or Moody, right?
I'll give you PBJ. I'm not giving you Moody. And DiVincenzo? No. I'm not going that far. I mean, come on now. He is 34.
Mike. Yeah. In there.
Oh, that was it. We have
Poole, but I said Donte because his contract makes it work.
Yeah. So does Moody's.
JMike doesn't make enough. Yeah, Moody makes it work. I don't know. I think you'd have to give up Moody. But if I'm
well, are you talking about just for the contract or for them to want it?
for the contract and I mean PBJ doesn't make enough, right? Let me see.
Wiseman, DiVincenzo.
We're talking about
JMike
Bojan again.
and
Moody makes 3.7 million. So yeah, that's 3.7.
I put this through two different trade machines, and they both checked out. So we can do that. I do like Isaiah Livers too. I think he's an interesting player, but he's very young, so it doesn't matter.
I think they would want Moody in the deal.
Well, we don't play him. Kerr seems to refuse to play him, so whatever. Yeah. You want to put Moody instead of DiVincenzo? We can do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. But we don't have what they need. So let's take a look at Detroit again.
Again, Tefsa, the reason I'm even talking about that is for DiVincenzo, I like him a lot, is because I think Bogdanovic is that much of a fit here, and it's going to be very hard for us to keep DiVincenzo unless he opts in to a contract. Again, we don't have his bird rights or early bird rights. He's only been with us 1 year. And I don't think he's going to want to play for $4.5 million again if he plays really well, which it looks like he's going to get, again, $10 million from a good team where he's going to make the playoffs and have the chance to contend. Whereas Bojan is locked up for this year, next year, and the year after that, giving us his bird rights and having a declining, very tradable contract along with shooting, which should help him as he ages.
Yeah, if I'm Detroit, I'm thinking more on Bojan. I'm thinking that, in terms of we don't have what they want, well, throw in a future first round pick, which is 28th or whatever, 27th. Throw in got to throw in Moody Wiseman. That's pretty good youthful assets to add to this.
Yeah, Detroit. I mean,
Wiseman and Moody. Yeah. I don't think they want Donte because he's basically a free agent.
I'm happy to keep Donte. I'd love to.
Right, exactly. And JMike is just, I mean, that's just a veteran.
It's just salary. Sorry, dude.
Negligible. Yeah. It's negligible. Yeah. So I think it would have to be Wiseman and Moody and just a few other fillers, cash. I don't know.
Yeah.
To make that work. But I would think that Detroit wouldn't mind getting rid
I don't think they'd slam the phone down.
Yeah, for Wiseman and Moody.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty fair deal. But anyway,
it's just that level player that I think is the only reason we would actually make a trade. Although I do, the more I think about it, the Olynyk one isn't bad. That would help in terms of having a vet who can shoot and everything. It's just I don't think I'd want to give up. It's just that Wiseman is not. I can't stomach trading James Wiseman for Kelly Olynyk. I'd rather take the chance that Wiseman.
Right. Me too.
But I like that player on this team for sure. I forget who brought that up, but thank you. That's
who brought what up?
Who brought that Olynyk trade up? Because it's about the same contract. In the comments, someone brought it up. I can't remember.
I gotta go look at Utah
again.
Would they want to do that
with the Jazz? It's hard to get a read on the Jazz this year.
They'd get Wiseman. That's pretty good for them.
Well, I mean, if they're getting Wiseman, then I think they would do it, right? Have Walker Kessler and James Wiseman switching back and forth.
I don't know that Olynyk. If I give up Wiseman, I kind of want to be Vegas odds to win the championship. With they have Bojan. I don't know that Kelly Olynyk gets us there.
No, well, not for Wiseman. I do like that type of player on this team, though, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I like that's whoever. Again, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, but whoever thought up the trade.
Whoops.
I think that's the type of mentality where if you can write it out the actual lineup with that player in there. And kind of be able to make an argument realistically in how that person would play in the Warriors system. That, and obviously make the contracts work. That's where you're not just like, we need this guy. Like, I'm sorry, someone's saying trade Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, and Draymond to the Nets for KD, a team which has a much better record than us.
Those.
And who I doubt would want to trade.
We're not talking about those. We're not wasting our time on those.
That's
it's unrealistic.
Thank you, Are You Mad Clown? That's funny. That's fun. I get having fun and thinking about really crazy trades or what you could do on 2K. Look, that's fun. It's fun to do. But is it going to happen in this world? No, I don't think so. So if it does, man, you call it. But also, you really want Dre off the team? How are we going to play any defense? No one can explain who's going to replace Draymond Green defensively. I don't get, like, people are talking about trading him all the time. I don't understand that whatsoever. Charlotte, yeah. What will we get him back? The real Darnell? Sorry, the real Darrell. My bad.
Since we're going to do this podcast version of this, try to repeat the question.
Who will we get in return if Wiseman goes to Charlotte? The real Darrell.
Charlotte? How
mentioned Charlotte? I think just to have the freedom.
What are we talking about Charlotte for? What happened?
It's the place I think he was saying for Wiseman to develop with. I mean, I'm just speaking for him, I guess.
Well, he's got to propose the trade. You don't just go. He needs to go to Charlotte. Come on, Daryl. Lord, we live in real life here. This isn't NBA 2K. This is an imaginary world where you can just transport somebody somewhere. Like, don't take us along for all these thoughts that come through your brain. Think of them first, something realistic, then say it. And
real quick, Rainus, we know exactly who Decky is, man. We do. Don't love how no one knows Wiseman's big made Jokic beast he is. Look, man, first and foremost, no one's Jokic. I don't care who his coach is, man. He didn't make Jokic the beast he is. Jokic made himself the beast he is. That guy is insane.
So what's happening here? Someone
just mentioned that we don't know. Yeah, okay, not the casuals, but you said us. Okay, you did say us.
I don't see the comment. What is the comment?
It's Ray 32ness.
What did he say?
He just said no one knows. He wasn't actually talking about us, I guess, but he said that Wiseman's big man coach is Decky, the same coach that made Jokic the beast that he is.
Okay.
We do know that, and that is, an excellent guy, I think, to have around Wiseman. And Wiseman, there have been plenty of times where he's played well. I'm not dead set on just get him off the team. Yeah, he deleted because he didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry if I overreacted, but when you think about the way that Wiseman has fit in with this system so far, you can tell that he is an offensive first center, a scorer that is having to readjust his entire game plan without a ton of experience. To become this passer, screener, defender, kind of Bogut Looney type player, and that's just incredibly difficult thing. I mean, we're not asking Jordan Poole to do that, right? No one's saying, hey, Jordan, we know that you're like, you're kind of this, combo guard, like passer, scorer, who's really quick offensively, but we need you to be Alex Caruso. I mean, that'd be super difficult for him because it's not in his wheelhouse. And that's the struggle that Wiseman's going through. No matter what his coaching is, that's the truth about the Warriors. We do not need what Wiseman does the most natural because that is not our system. It just isn't. Low post scoring, alley oops and stuff like that. Heavy pick and roll. That's just not the way the Warriors play, and it never will be as long as Steph Curry is, an MVP caliber player. That.
So you're
Is why it's so difficult for Wiseman here. It's not the talent, and it's not his hard work. It's not his personality. So
and so I see where you're going. I see the guy in the comments now. He's saying, "Who's winning Game 6 for you, Olynyk or Wiseman?" And I'm saying, Game 6 this year or Game 6 in 2026. That's the whole reason you keep Wiseman. Olynyk's not winning Game 6 in 2023 either. And he's not winning Game 6 in 2026. So, but that, I think what he was doing was he was throwing Wiseman under the bus, which you just addressed right now, right? So anyways, I might have that wrong. I don't know, but I just answered that right now. Is the whole point of Wiseman is the future. It's not for today. So anybody who is throwing Wiseman under the bus in terms of contributions in this season doesn't get it. That's as simple as that. He's the future. He's not the now.
Yeah,
but kicker, we can agree that Olynyk is a baller, and we can agree that we're not trading Wiseman for him at the same time. So
yeah.
I agree, but I disagree. But anyways,
it goes back to. Well, I would actually be interested. Let's go to the comments a little bit and see if anyone has, a way to, increase Wiseman's comfort or whatever on this team. Do you get what I'm asking? Like, how do you fit in Wiseman into the system that we have now consistently, which we haven't done? At least, well, we did in the first half of 2021, but that's ages ago now. Feels like there weren't even fans in the seats.
I think you just chip away game by game and just whatever happens, and you hope for the best. And you just, he comes back, so let's say he comes back next 2 games from now or something, or this tomorrow. Let's say he comes back tomorrow or later in the week, and you find a spot for him, which is usually the 9 minutes or less for sub for Looney, and maybe Jordan Poole is out there with him, run a little pick and roll against these depleted Nets, and you set up your rotation spreadsheet where you're giving them some minutes here. And if something jumps out at you, something jumps off the film, then great. Then we made progress. If he just does normal, then he does normal. I mean, we're having trouble getting minutes for PBJ, let alone Wiseman. Actually, it's probably easier to find minutes for Wiseman because you could just have him back up Looney, and just take out Looney, with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, and sub in, Jordan Poole and Wiseman for whoever, right? Looney comes out and run a few pick and rolls, and that's how you develop them. But it's going to take a while. And then next season, maybe there's summer league. I don't know if he's still allowed to play in summer league, whatever. But training camp, you really, and he's got to really stay healthy, because if he gets injured again, then that's pretty much it, But I think that's the only way. But I do see that, the progression a couple years from now, if he just plays like a DeAndre Ayton, that's good enough for me, right? That gives an added dimension. Oh, we're got to play against the fast-paced Warriors. Oh, and then that second unit with Wiseman too. We got to worry about that too. That kind of thing. Whereas right now, it's just Warriors basketball, fast pace, and and the one where they take out Looney and put in Jordan Poole, that's extra fast pace. So we got to do some scattering apart on that. But wouldn't it be nice for them to start worrying about a lineup that has Wiseman in it too? I think that just makes, the franchise more, just like Bob Meyer says, optionality. Just gives us different options. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the exact path to get there is. I trust Bob, Joe, Bob, and Steve will figure that out. But I do think Wiseman is different. So quite an asset to keep, I think. So that's Wiseman. Somebody wants us to talk about Wendell Carter. So let's go look at him. What team is he on?
Magic.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Wendell Carter. There he is. Okay, 14 million long-term contract. Oh, look at that.
Declining contract. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Go ahead. What do you got? Wow, we actually did go 2 hours. I was thinking, we'll just stay on 1 hour, but there's so much to talk about, honestly.
Yeah, really. I like Wendell Carter. I liked him back in when he was with the Bulls. I was looking at a couple players on there, their stats and some highlights on YouTube that show you every possession that they had, and I like him. Why not just keep Wiseman? I don't know. I hate to keep giving you the same answer over and over again, but how's that really an upgrade over the long run? I like the contract and everything. He's not that old. He's probably, 27, 28, something like that. But again, feels a little tough trading Wiseman for a guy who...
Yeah, also Wiseman's most recent Santa Cruz performances, can't we translate that a little bit? It's like we're just writing them off because we haven't seen them in NBA games recently.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we've seen him. You're right. So that is affecting my perception, as much as I try and not let it do that. When was the last time he played anyway? It was like a month ago.
Yes.
Right?
Well, go to the BK ref here.
Yeah.
James Wiseman.
I think he played a few minutes and got like 5 rebounds. I think it was that game.
Get out of here.
That was against Utah. Oh, it was the game I went to. That's right.
Look at that. Look at that 30 points. just bounces out at you right there. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a hyper efficient scorer.
Super efficient, yeah.
For the most,
even in Santa Cruz. Yeah.
When he gets enough minutes, like 20, obviously not the game right before that, but generally, he is able to hit like 5 out of 7, things like that. Yeah, nobody's patient anymore. That's true. That is true. Yeah, to trade or not to trade? That's the question. Most number 2 picks aren't drafted to contenders, especially centers too. It's not writing him off. He needs the freedom to play through his mistakes as a starter, and I can see that, and I've kind of thought that way at times too. On the other hand,
that's the other thing that makes development on the Warriors so difficult. You can't screw up,
especially not as a big, especially not as a center.
Because they'll just go small. That's another problem. He sticks out like a sore thumb, man, because he's so big. Any mistake Wiseman makes, everyone can see it.
Yeah. On the other hand, if he starts to... Someone mentioned that he was the worst rotation player in the league who was playing significant minutes at one point. And that reminded me of someone else who was also one of the worst rotation players in the league at one point. And that was Jordan Poole, 2020. was one of the worst players in the NBA
right.
in terms of efficiency and the number of minutes he played and things like that. And well, he turned that around. Some people don't agree with that, but he did. You know, so if Wiseman starts to pop, I guess let me put it to you this way. I really, really, really want James Wiseman to get plenty of run from now until just before the trade deadline, just to see what we have, just to see a consistent run of what we have here. It's going to be difficult because we didn't set ourselves up early in the season to be able to do that. But hey, if he just starts being confident from three, being able to set those dark side of the moon screens that in a Bogut like way, which I mean obviously has a physique for. I think if he can, he's not the best passer, but he's started to limit his turnovers more and more, and I think that's an important part of being on this team. And then just his rebounding and shot blocking potential is incredible. If he was confident and in having a solid role and everything, then, or if we just got to see more of where he's at in his development and everything. He's only 23 years old. Wow. Okay.
Wendell Carter, 14 million. But then now he's 14 million. So now you've got to throw another young guy, Wiseman and Moody, for Wendell Carter. I don't know, right?
Yeah, he's 23 years old. Yeah, that's right. Shooting 34.8, has a career average of 30.8 from three, but 73.7 career average in shooting this year, 77.5 from the line, which is important. Free throw shooting, I think, is as important of understanding how good of a shooter someone is. Not always. Andre Iguodala, great three-point shooter, horrible free throw shooter, but generally, that is an important sign. So thank you for telling me. I thought for some reason I thought he was older than that. Maybe he just looks older than that. I don't know. But yeah, we got to get Wiseman some run just to see where he's at. The ankle thing that's not real. He's not still hurt. Come on. There has to be something.
We'll see. I'm sure Slater will get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. What Austin Rivers said about Kerr? I didn't. Bruce, what happened?
Well, first of all, the Wendell Carter proposed trade has to involve probably Moody and Wiseman to make the salaries match. And I just think anything beyond Wiseman for Carter, kind of like straight up, is too much. So then that Wendell Carter's salary is doesn't make it work, I think. Of course, I haven't digested this completely. What is Carter's size again? Let's see, 6'9".
He's 260 though, and I think he has a long wingspan. That's not bad. It's also, I don't think they have to match exactly.
Well, within 25%, but you can't trade them straight up unless there's a trade exception.
Yeah,
and there might be somewhere that I guess I forget how it works.
Someone's bringing up OG Anunoby, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's been brought up in the comments before as well.
They're saying Wiseman, JMike, PBJ, and a first for OG. Have Draymond at center, Wiggs at power forward.
Hold on a sec. Okay.
Refs blow every whistle. What is he, blind? I'm sorry. Sorry,
You got to
Might
remember
put a
we got
blind.
the podcast version coming out, so you've got to tell.
Oh, sorry.
Don't have access to the live chat what you're talking about.
You're right. It's a whole new world. So someone brought up that Austin Rivers said something about Steph, and what he said, Anthony, Sy, and Bruce are both telling me that he said basically you can't touch him. He said the hardest player to guard is Steph, which is somewhat of a compliment. But then he says you can't touch him. They give him every effing call. They set illegal screens for him the entire game. Maybe the screens is true, but the foul calls is not. The foul calls are not. That's just delusional. You know? I mean, how many times have we seen Steph get mauled and sometimes they'll call a foul against him? That's maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do that with Austin Rivers, but they don't. I don't know. That's craziness saying that Steph gets every call. If that's true, why isn't he averaging 9 free throws a game? You know, he's averaging 4. I mean, that 50-point game against the Suns, I think he had 2 free throws.
Back to did we talk about OG Anunoby? What's his 3-point shooting?
Let's go look up his stats here.
Unless you had a final thought on, I appreciate Bruce keeping us up to date, but that's a side story that's a meme. We don't really do memes here. I'm not worried about Austin Rivers, what comes out of his mouth. I'm not worried about Shen Sharp, and it's fun and entertainment, but we got to focus on the information. But it's good for you to bring up. I'm not saying don't comment that, but let's move on because
let's go talk about OG Anunoby.
Every trade aspect and every roster issue that we can. But OG, let's take a look. How's his 3-point shooting?
6'7", 232.
Not too bad. Oh man. So we're gonna get even smaller. I almost like the Wendell deal better than this one, just because Wendell's 6'9". Not that OG's bad. It was just like, man, aren't we supposed to get bigger? All these trade scenarios are supposed to get bigger, not smaller.
I'm not sure I'm really interested in adding a player who's mostly going to be playing center, though. You know, powerful, large. Like this guy is big enough where I'm sure he can.
Small forward though, 6'7". I mean, I know he can play the 4, but now we're undersized all over again. But
I'm fine being undersized as long as we have enough players who can play minutes who are undersized. I don't want to be undersized and thin, but I don't mind being. Oh, it's just the Warriors style of play, you know. Leading the league in steals this year. Good rebounder.
Is there was another thing in the Slater
negative assist to turnover ratio though. That's tough.
There was another thing in the Slater article that talked about let's see, look at some of his last games. That a lot of it also depends on, or maybe Tim Kawakami was tweeting this. A lot of it depends on whether Draymond is going to opt in or not, and so you're kind of stuck. You're kind of stuck until you have that bit of information come in. And if Draymond is still on this team, then why would I want OG? Right? Is a couple undersized power forwards. I don't know. It doesn't grab me right away. So OG, they like him though in Toronto.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think one thing is
salaries.
I think Toronto a little bit like Detroit, so I can understand the similarity with that and Bogdanovic thing that I brought up.
Million. Oh boy.
Yeah. The one thing is I think he's probably one of the guys that they were looking to build around because he's young, you know, and they might want to move on from Van Vliet or maybe even Siakam or
How do we even make this deal work? How did we make Bojan work? We had to throw in Donte. That was $4 million or something.
Moody. Yeah.
Moody, Wiseman. So we'd have to throw in everybody on that one too. Everybody meaning
A
Wiseman.
lot of these trades we're actually going to have to take on
Moody,
salary and not give up as much, along with probably put Draymond at the 3.
oh gosh.
You'd really have to. Well, here's the other thing. If you're coming up with a trade again for teams that are tanking or whatever, you don't always have to have a perfectly coherent lineup, but it helps if you can list what the lineup would be, once the trade is through for the Warriors. And then if you really want to get crazy, you can try and list out the 240 minutes you have per game to play.
No one has done that yet. They could make a lot of money. Somebody should think about that.
Yeah.
In the comments.
So you don't want to get a guy who's good, but you find it's hard to get them enough minutes, or they're backlogged. Like that's the Payton Pritchard thing was very strange because we have so many guards. He's going to be behind. I mean, it would depend on who we trade. And that something tells me that was the Warriors contacting them for something else that we don't know about yet.
What's that?
The whole Payton Pritchard thing, as an example of like,
Payton
that's
Pritchard,
weird. Yeah. He's behind a bunch of guys. There might be another reason behind it, though.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Contacting the Celtics for some other reason. Yeah, smoke.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. And then both agreeing, okay, well, we can tell you that you were shopping one player who's not Payton Pritchard. You can say who we were really talking about, but why don't we just kind of keep it on the DL here? You never know. The NBA front offices are like that. It's kind of like the Cold War, actually, a little bit. You got phones, and then you got red phone for certain players, and a bunch of misinformation and smoke and mirrors and things like that going on.
Wait, we only have 13 likes so far? Hold on.
I think Amy, that happens sometimes with me where if I like it early and I come back,
we have 91 likes. Hey, that's pretty good.
How many do we have?
91. 9 more to get to 100.
Yeah, let's go. Especially on the podcast. The podcast people can.
I wasn't ready for this because I still got to do the marketing for it, but I'm giving away some Anta sending us a free pair of KOI KT8s. So we're not giving it away tonight, but coming up soon. I still got to do the marketing for it. I don't know which game. So keep tuning in.
Absolutely. I have some Klay Thompson shoes, and they're really, really. They're not the KT8, but they're really, really, really comfortable. They're great shoes.
Okay, so OG Anunoby. Yeah, I tend to think that half the league wants OG as well, says Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
His price will be outrageous. I think if you're gonna do a trade scenario, try and cover all the bases of why would they want to do it? Because I've been hearing that Toronto loves OG as well. Not hearing that, just I don't know where this comes from. I wish I had more concrete evidence for you guys, but it's like some of these questions we're going to ask. So if you come up with a trade scenario, be sure to be ready to answer why Toronto would want to get rid of a guy like that. That's probably him and Pascal they'd want to build around type of thing.
Yeah.
I thought your argument for Bojan was, as if you thought of that already. Why would Detroit do this deal? So I thought that was good.
And I know I've seen him play a lot too,
Like,
so I already kind of knew that he would fit, just because he was on the Jazz for years. So I already know that he would be. I would have to watch more. I like the OG idea. It'd be more whether Toronto wanted to do it, but I do think that is the kind of
I actually don't like it.
really.
He's too
Yeah,
small.
okay. That's fair.
I'm sorry. I'm
No.
giving up Wiseman. It took us all this to land a number 2 pick for a 7-1 beast, and then I'm going to give him away for a 6'7" guy like that. It just goes down to the core of just like pick up basketball. We're just picking guys out there on the playground type stuff. I don't know. Again, we're back to the I don't know. Nobody knows. None of us know.
Oh, I've done it. I've got you all to admit that you don't know. Just like me.
People like certain guys, and yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade scenario. I'm trying to just kind of think the way Bob Myers might think. That's all. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. This one OG brings up a yellow flag for me, and I'm still trying to figure out why.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that is something that you can't just ignore, because your mind goes through so much that your consciousness, doesn't get until one moment you go, oh, that's right. In this game, a year or a month ago, we saw this happen and that happen, and yeah, so always good to not make snap decisions, especially when you're talking about something that is as big as, look, any trade is going to affect the chemistry of this team, and that is a real thing to contend with. It could be good or it could be really bad, but especially for a team like the Warriors, say strength in numbers and weaponize joy. That's all. Even we believe that's all like chemistry stuff, and that's the most important for. It's probably the most important for us than any other team in the league, just because of the way we play and the very team game that we play. So that you also have to think about kind of who these players are as people too, which is the hardest part of a trade because you don't really know, especially if you're like me and you have ESPN trade machine and a TV and some highlights and I guess some interviews or whatever. Like I'm not like Rich, like I'm not interviewing these guys.
I've
have connections.
I've retired. Oh, I'll interview guys who know guys, but as far as going to practice or going to games, I think I've retired from that. I don't want to drag my body left and right to.
No, you're only doing
what Anthony Slater does. I'm going to let him do his job, and then I'm going to amplify the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah, Rich is only doing 40 hours a week on YouTube, giving you the best Warriors knowledge in the world. He's retired now.
Where did my there's still the Kevon Looney Q&A that we could talk about later. We still got Anthony in the chat. If we have time, we might not have time. We might have to wait for you some other time, because man, to turn this into an audio podcast that's 2.5 hours long, man, sheesh. Is anybody gonna
okay? It was a good setup, and
we covered a lot, though. Come to think of it, man, we covered a lot.
We did. I think if we can share the process of making this, maybe next time we can share like 5 points from you, 5 points from me, or something like that, and maybe go through point by point a little bit more, like around 8-10 minutes or something. That might help streamline the pod.
Anything else, people? I mean, I know we probably only got around to 50% of all the comments. Oh, Koloko, Christian
Right.
Koloko, right? We should, we're doing our due diligence. We might as well cover everybody.
Yes, sir.
That was brought up, so might as well.
A rookie.
7-1. Okay, so 7, age 22. Whew, Toronto. So let's look up Toronto. Here he is. Okay. So, wow. He's a bit of a project then for them. Was he drafted? Second round pick, 33rd overall. That's why he's so cheap. That's just going to be a swap, right? That's just going to be a Ryan Rollins for a Christian Koloko, right? So then why would Toronto want to do that? Yeah, I don't know, right? Then we've got to develop this guy.
He's a rookie center.
No, I don't know about this one, the Koloko thing, because we've already got a 7-foot guy under player development named Wiseman, and you're going to add another one to that? I don't know. I mean, if you want to get rid of Wiseman for Koloko, then that's a different thing, but we can't really do that.
Salaries don't match. They would have to give us more
Ironically,
players.
This is the reverse of all the other examples.
Yeah.
This salary is too small, so it's just a swap of Ryan Rollins for Christian Koloko, and I don't know that makes sense.
Thank you, Daryl. It says he's enjoyed both the wacky and the wise from us today. It's a nice conversation. Thank you, man. It's nice.
But anyway,
I hope you guys have enjoyed.
Got brought up because you do have to look at the salaries to make sure they match. Another 7-footer to develop. Salary doesn't match. So we have Wiseman and Koloko on the same salary, on the same roster, I'm sorry, which doesn't make sense. But transactionally, the Koloko idea doesn't really work.
It's not quite what I think both of us agree that if we are going to make a trade, that's not quite what the Warriors need. I can't imagine them trading for
trade we need to make is the one that really gives us an energy boost into a higher seed, and B, Vegas thinks we're going to go to the championship type thing. Like Bob has done his job. I mean, also Bob's got to understand the chemistry part of it too. So as long as it took for JaMychal to get to this point where he's getting a dunk off of a fake screen and slip to the basket, we got to make sure the new guy can integrate into that as well. If it's Bojan, then Bojan's got to be able to do that split action as a wing coming off that high pick by Looney, and understand where Steph is at all times, where Clay is at all times. How long will that take? And
well, he was with Snyder, who was running a little bit of a Popovich-like system offensively with the Jazz. I can't say now in Detroit what that's like, but
okay. Yeah, if Wiseman gets injured again, yeah. Oh boy. I don't want to operate from a aspect of fear, so I'm not going to think about that. Of course we don't want that to happen, and I think just stay optimistic, and we'll see what happens with Wiseman's latest injury. If somebody like Anthony Slater can find out what's really happening on that, because it seems like, or maybe a sprained ankle does take a month. I've had a sprained ankle where I sprained it forwards. That was awful. We should find the clip where he got injured. Maybe that's doable. and see.
I thought he got hurt before a game too, right?
Oh, he got hurt at a scrimmage. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
don't know. We don't know at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
one of those
kind of
things.
radio silence from the team though, which is a little
Yeah.
strange.
Well, also, I think sometimes sprained ankles could last a while. What did Dr. Pandya say about that again? I have it in the notes. If I just do a find on Pandya, someone mentioned it in the comments. Along the lines of because his injury history, it is possible that any lower extremity injury would probably take longer than usual.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a knock-on effect back to the knee that they're really worried about. Is it the same leg?
So we can safely speculate that they're being extra cautious with Wiseman, right?
As they've been with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, with everybody. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I think some things you just have to wait for it to play out to get more information. Same thing with Andre. We were talking about how Andre was a waste of a roster spot. I mean, if he continues to miss games like
Not in the
this,
locker room too. Just
there's that too.
yeah.
We could argue against that too, but also let's give it some time. You
Yeah.
know, we're still only in game. What game are we? 40. We're not even at game
46.
50. 46. Looking at the standings. Update the standings. Yeah, we're at 46. Look at Minnesota. They're sixth suddenly. We're tied for.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Phoenix drop like that. Look at OKC coming up. Yikes. Yeah, but then again, fifth seed is only 3 games over. Fourth seed is only 6 games over. Kudos to Mike Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people say, we miss Mike Brown. I mean, I get it. He was an inspirational leader on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're playing poorly, he'll yell at you. So we kind of lost that, right? We could have used that this year. We kind of didn't need it last year. Right? So it's kind of
And yeah, we had it, you know.
But
the biggest thing is there was no way to keep him.
Yeah, there you go.
They are assistant defensive coach. Well, I want to go be a head coach. No, okay. I guess you have to go be a head coach. What are we going to say? You know, I mean, there's only 30 people in the NBA who get to be the head coach, so it's hard to argue against.
And it's hard to find Mike Browns to replace or whatever. What are you going to do? You're going to not give Kenny Atkinson the opportunity to
We're lucky Kenny Atkinson came back.
We almost
he was
lost
about
him.
to be a head coach.
So a lot of these things are like circumstances that you just have to take into account the whole context of it.
Yeah. And that's true. You know what, Daryl? Looney was injured for the first, 16 and 17, he really hardly played. 18 got better, 19 was big, 20 was hurt like the whole year, and then has been vital to us. So that is true. He was also the 30th pick. So a lot less pressure. That's the other thing too is we have to remember Wiseman's under an incredible amount of outside pressure, because of everything that he's been through, and I haven't seen it affect him really at all in terms of his. He's been really ideal in terms of a young, very talented man who gets drafted into a very difficult situation. I've really appreciated the way he's handled it. He really could have started causing some problems, and I guess I wouldn't blame him, but I'm very, very impressed that he just hasn't been like that at all. I think we have to give him credit for that.
Please splash the like button. If we missed anything in the comments, be sure to just re-comment it. It's a stream. It's a stream of comments that comes by. I may have missed some of them. So please splash the like button because otherwise we'll just kind of wrap it up pretty soon.
Yep.
Let's see. And please check the description for a list of topics we have covered already. That's not to say don't comment, but go ahead and comment, but also check the description just in case as well. So I wanted to point out this Looney interview that's on basketballnews.com. You can go look at it. What did I want to point out on that? I have that written down in my notes. Some really cool quotes from that include that, let's see, just getting more experience, getting more reps. As far as did you know that Looney is in the top 10 with 449 screen assist points in the NBA? That's a pretty cool stat. I mean, I knew they keep track of that stuff, but where do you find that readily available? I'm sure it's somewhere if you just Google it, but that's a cool stat.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I bet Draymond's way up there too, alongside him. So we must have at least two and high up.
yeah. Oh, so he talks to somewhere in here. He talks to. I'll put the link in the comments. Thanks, RJ, for the likes. Looney interview from the Cleveland locker room, actually. So this is recent stuff. Oh man, the URL is so long that it doesn't fit. Okay, it fits. Oh gosh. But anyways, says he talks to Steph and JP and everybody about where they want the screen. So there's a lot of dialogue on that. Early on, it was a struggle for me, but now I do it in my sleep. So that's a cool quote. And then he says, "Here's the difference between JP and Steph." So let's look at that. Where's my find? There it is. Playing with JP, he's really herky jerky. He's kind of all over the place. Laugh. He's really creative. I think
Yeah.
Steph is a little bit more decisive. And isn't that what we want from JP? So it just takes some time. So people in the comments, this is why I brought this up. We see this all the time in the comments. JP needs to slow down. Someone needs to tell him to slow down. They need to coach him better. He's being told that. Man, slow down. Let me do my job, right? It just takes repetition for these young guys. You're only 20 something, and it's hard to take all this coaching and apply it on the fly. It's just, the whole thing about getting 1% better each time. That's an example of that.
You're also telling him to slow down now when everything that he's been doing is what got him out of being a net negative and not really, playing or being on a really bad team in 2020 into being an important part of. Wasn't he our second leading scorer last year throughout the playoffs? Throughout every playoff, I mean, the 22 games we played, I think he was the second leading scorer on the team. And now you're all of a sudden like, hey, you need to slow down and start being more decisive and start. Why? Because he's starting to have to run the offense.
Yeah, a lot of it's part of their
This
character.
is brand new for him. It's brand new, really.
Just like when Steph first came up.
Yeah.
Social media wasn't as big then, so
Steph turned 22 in March of his first year, of his rookie year. So Jordan is barely older than that. Yeah, he's in his second year in the NBA. If we're looking at the age difference between Steph and JP, and that's the year that Curry, 2011, right? Yeah, 2010-11. I forget what happened that year. I think we went 23-23 with Steph or something like that, without any pressure on a team that. It's just very different. Daryl. This is the first time I've seen Daryl Findley on here. Maybe I just haven't noticed him, but he's making some pretty good
I've
points.
seen him a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's been good to us.
From worst player and worst team as a rookie to NBA champion. Yeah, exactly. For JP's progression throughout his career. Yeah.
Rui for Wiseman. Do we want to do that one? Why not?
Who?
Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, I
So
looked it up.
they'd have to throw in somebody.
They would have to add another player. So maybe if they're high on Wiseman, they would do that. But yeah. Well, I want to talk real quick about the next game and then call it.
If I really like Rui, then I'm sure Wizards really like Rui.
Yeah.
And then they'd have to throw us something else to make the salaries match. Yeah, I don't know that they'd want them.
Thank you, Amy. Have a happy Chinese New Year tonight. Yeah. Pretty fun. January.
Yeah, we got a game tomorrow to cover. So live stream will start just before the game. So we'll see you tomorrow on that. And you were saying, so how should we wrap this up? Is Boogie a free agent?
I'm sorry, we're playing the Nets, right? And KD's going to be out. So that'll be a good test for some of our guards, having to guard Kyrie. I assume Steph will be back, right? That was just rest last game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back at home, almost went 4-1 on the road trip. Very close. They can throw an FD. Yeah, I like him. But yeah. So coming off a 3-2 road trip with a great performance against the Celtics, even in a loss. This is the point in the season where you want to and I think they have really started to feel like that connection is there, that that they really have more and more of an identity. I think that's something Steph mentions a lot and something that we've been able to develop as the season's gone along. Sorry that KD still hasn't had his celebration yet in Oracle. I don't think he hasn't played in Oracle with fans there.
You mean the home? We're not going to Oracle anytime soon.
Sorry, excuse me, in Chase. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he had the Jumbotron video thing in 2020, but nobody was there in terms of
fans,
the crowd.
Yeah.
It was an empty arena.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be another year at least.
Yep. This is a winnable game with a team missing one of its stars, so that's a little concerning, considering I think we play really at our highest level if KD was there. And yeah. All the Bay Area people, I hope the Niners do well tomorrow. I don't care about football, so I have no.
Yeah, we're still going to go live here with the Warriors game. To my dismay, my personal dismay, I wish the NFL had picked any other time. But, it's not going to happen, but it'd be nice if the Niners could blow out the Cowboys, and so that I don't miss anything important. Well, I'm going to have the Niners game on the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well,
okay, cool.
1 or 2 likes. It's been great being on.
Yeah, thanks. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
We can't help ourselves, Rich. We can't help ourselves, right? Man.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being on here, Dean.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
It's always good to hear what comes out of your mouth, your voice, because it's always something that's well thought out, and that's so different than anywhere else you go.
Right back at you, Rich. Right back at you, man.
So thanks for everybody for coming on board to join us today. Man, we got a lot more people on than a usual game stream, which is weird.
All the people want Warriors content on days off, you know?
Yeah, and to just talk
Yeah.
about the team, and I think we did a pretty good job. Granted, we went long. I think
Mhm.
we covered a lot of bases. So
I like I
all
like
of the trade
the I
scenarios.
like the energy in the comments too. It was good for the most part.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I owe so many people to do the StreamYard thing, as you see on the screen, of highlighting your comment. But I was so busy typing back to you guys. I don't do that during game streams, right? Because it's nearly impossible. And
Yeah.
we just go with the flow, and we do it by voice. We answer your comments by voice, but I wanted to cover everybody because I knew we would get more than a game stream on today. And so Doug saying, good show. I know a lot of you said that. So on
Mhm.
behalf of Doug, this, I'm gonna do this and screenshot it because I really appreciate you guys saying these kind things in the comments. You are so, man, I got to screenshot that too. Be sure to smile right now, Dean. So I got a screenshot. Boom. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Maybe put it on Instagram. I don't know. Um, I might change the thumbnail to this. I don't know. Maybe later. I like the fact of having Bob Myers on the thumbnail. Um, so we'll just keep that for now. But thanks, Doug, and anybody else who left us a comment similar to Doug's. So yeah, we'll see you at the game tomorrow. Dean still has to go to work.
Yeah.
So man,
Want to work early too.
thanks for spreading your positivity on here and sharing your passion for this franchise with us, man.
Thank you, Rich.
So
Thank you for giving me the
I'm
opportunity to.
grateful for having you on here.
Yeah, man. You too.
So everybody, we're gonna do our just us 1, 2, 3, even though that's when Steph comes out of the tunnel. He says just us 1, 2, 3. That's the
Mhm.
beginning, but we end with that. So everybody, just us 1, 2, 3, and do a little high five or the
Just us.
Bill Kennedy high five from Miami. Just us 1, 2, 3. See you tomorrow at 5 p.m. or so for BKN GSW.
Yes, sir.
All right, just this 1, 2, 3. Bye bye, everybody.
Just us.
Thank you, Dean.